I've introduced Kim a number of times, but there's always new people in the room, so I'll share some more information about Kim. Kim Clark has been with us about 15 years now. She's taken many courses and workshops with Reverend Deborah, and she's currently enrolled and participating in our practitioner training program. Thank you, Kim. She's a filmmaker, God and Gaze. How many years ago was that? 11 years ago. Reverend Deborah was one of the featured speakers in that film. She is in the tech industry. She's in communications. She builds bridges. She tries to get people to talk to one another in a way that's cohesive for all beings, for all of us. Win, 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 win. That's the idea. Kim is so many things, but I'm out of words right in this moment. But I would again ask you to open your hearts and minds and your ears and take in what she has to say. Because there's always something enlightening that I walk away with after Kim speaks. And I know many of us have talked about things that you've spoke on for days on end. That open never left me. Oh, okay. So without further ado, let me invite Kim Clark up to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Sarah, I'm going to steal your music stand if that's okay. Am I on, Jeannie, or do I need to switch something? Check one. You guys hear me okay? 1, 2. Hello? 1, 2. 1, 2. You can hear me okay? I can hear me okay. Good morning. Good morning. I see some very welcome, familiar faces out there this morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming. My kids are here, y'all. This is a big deal. This is a big deal that my kids are here. So make sure you say hi to them, give them a high five afterwards. Unless you think I suck, then just kind of leave them alone. Let them deal with it on their own. So that song, I Had a Revelation, which was the song right before what you just heard from the choir, is extremely special to me. It was that song that I went to when I learned that my marriage was ending. So finding that song and having that song really find its way to embody me in that moment helped me get through, obviously, a really tough obstacle to get over, and that's really just getting in touch with endings are okay, especially ones you never wanted. I never thought I'd be that statistic, 50% or whatever it is. I thought I'd be the one the other 50% that would be sticking it out, right? And so that song is really, really deeply meaningful to me. That song is about understanding why we're alive. And last month it was all about purpose. That would have been a great song that was a nice bridge from last month to this month of just purpose, our purpose, having a purpose. We have a purpose. And then this month, the theme is expansion. And my topic today is blow your own mind. Not a typo, that's the way I talk. Blow your own mind. That's what we're going to be doing today. That's what I'll be inviting us to do today, anyway. So I'm in this practitioner course on Thursday nights, and the first book we're reading is by Ernest Holmes, A New Design for Living. And in the beginning of the book, he really talks about there's this one source. It's very grounding. There's one source, and then we come out of that one source. We are an individualized expression of that one source. And part of that's already right. How does that really play out? But if you look at it as, okay, I know why I'm alive, you take that from the song, and then you say, I'm an individualized expression of the one source. Okay, what do I do with that? He talks about how we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to show up in this life because we're alive. And now knowing why we're alive, that should give us a lot of motivation to where we can expand. Expand who we are and expand our experience. And yet we struggle with that. I mean, the definition of expansion is to make something larger, to become. It's a verb, the first definition. This isn't the spiritual quality kind of, the spiritual definition that Rev D will probably give us this month. But good old, Webster's tells me that it's about becoming something larger, something more extensive. Now, in my experience, that has included my waistline. I definitely have expanded my waistline on occasion. I feel like I'm echoing or reverbing or something. Not echoing, but reverbing. Hey, Adam. Adam interviewed me for a podcast called The Bay Area Beat, and it was published this week, and I want to say thank you, Adam, because you made me expand on the conversation about diversity and inclusion in the tech world. So thank you for doing what you do, Adam. Thank you. Because you made me, one of the parts of the definition of expansion is to fill in more, to add more, like expand on a theory. And if people are saying that diversity and inclusion in the workplace is a lovely thing to say and do, and it's a theory, we had a chance to say, no, this is very practical, and it's necessary, and it's urgent. So we got to expand on that. Now, in the reading today, you heard a little bit about contraction as well. So those watching on Facebook won't hear or see the reading, so I wanted to reread parts of the reading. While this expansion and contraction is a natural part of life, people tend to rely on contraction during stressful times. Anyone? Yeah? Any witnesses in the house? Yeah. All right. Well, contraction is like a default coping mechanism. Right? Under the stress of change or upheaval, it's easier to fold into yourself. Despite this habitual tendency to contract, expansion is what holds the most promise for growth, transformation, and happiness, but we have to want it. So it's a choice. What does it feel like? I want you to shout it out. What does it feel like to you when you contract? When you're under stressful times and you contract? What does that look like, feel like? Loneliness, pain. Safe? Yeah? It's comfortable, it's a comfort zone. Painful? Tight? Couple more? Isolation. Wow. Fear. And we're choosing this. Yucky. And we're choosing this. And we have other choices. There are other possibilities. Yes? Yes. So in my work, I was just talking about what Adam and I talked about on the Bay Area Beat, is diversity, inclusion, and belonging in the workplace. Now, I've turned that into my focus of my career. I typically do what's called internal communications within tech companies, which is making sure that everybody's talking to everybody and everybody knows what's going on. That's the high level of it. I won't bore you with the details. But I've gotten a little bit more into, being more of an advocate and utilizing my unearned white privilege to be more of an advocate and saying diversity, inclusion, and belonging has to happen in the workplace. But first, I have to start with what is already there and why it's been a problem, and that's called unconscious bias or implicit bias, microaggressions. Those are some other terms. Unconscious bias is something that we've just kind of picked up along the way in life. Super simple examples. When I say pilot, what gender comes to mind? Male, white, somebody even threw in race. What about doctor? Male. Nurse? Okay, so these are just jobs, y'all. But we've gendered them through unconscious bias. Okay, there's been a system over these, many, many decades that have created this unconscious bias. But the fact that it's unconscious, that's what's super interesting, is because we are not even aware that we have these biases. That's the point, is raising that consciousness and being consciously aware that we have biases. Now, no matter how enlightened the choir might feel about themselves, if they take, and you can Google this, just look up implicit bias or unconscious bias test, and there's free tests out there. Test yourself. And you're going to find that there's going to be things that you didn't even, look at the candidates for president. An unconscious bias is typically I'm not sure if that female candidate is qualified. But the male candidate, because he's male, is qualified. LeanIn.org is doing a lot of research and a lot of awareness around getting people to understand we have an unconscious bias against female candidates for political offices. We need to raise that awareness and say, if we took gender out of it and looked at the issues and the vision and stuff, what would that look like? Companies are doing this exponentially with resumes. There was a whole study done about, I think it was an orchestra tryout that happened many years ago, and it was a test around unconscious bias where they had male and female, like usual, come up and audition for the orchestra. Because they were saying that it was mostly men that were winning the parts, right, in the orchestra. I don't know the technical term. Ask Alan. He was in a symphony. He was a professional musician. You can ask Alan. I don't know what I'm talking about with that. So what happened was they forgot to ask everybody to take their shoes off. Because as soon as the high heels were heard on the wooden stage, they knew it was a female and the unconscious bias kicked in. Once they removed all of the audition folks' shoes, and it truly was blind, they put the curtain up, and all they did was hear music. The rate of women that were put into the orchestra went up exponentially because it was based on talent. The unconscious bias was removed. Fascinating, right? But that is a form of contracting. That's limiting ourselves and being open to other people, other cultures, other language. I have a saying, you can't lead a diverse team unless you lead a diverse life. Well, guess what? You being here at Interlight Ministries, do you have any idea how many religions, faiths, no faiths, languages, cultures, eating habits, genders, orientations are sitting in this room right now? So good job. You are not participating in the most segregated hour of the week, as Martin Luther King talked about. So the opposite of unconscious bias is just challenging what our own bias would be, right? And thinking through, how do we use language without gender? It takes an expanded awareness. It takes possibilities. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody is asking for your advice or your help on something, and everything that you say to them, they start going, no, I think, I can't do that because... Has anyone been in that situation? You're just like, well, what if you did this? No, I don't think so. That would be too much money. Oh, I can't do that because, like my foot and, And you're like, after 20 minutes of this, I guess I can't help you. You know what they're doing in that moment? They're contracting, right? They're arguing for their own limitations. Frustrates the crap out of me. Because I learned it for myself. I heard myself doing that. And it bugged me. I was bugging me. Because I found out I was learning that I was arguing for my own limitations. People were trying to help me. It doesn't matter what it is. And I'm just like, no, I can't, and all this. Watch out for that. Watch out for arguing for your own limitations. Do you understand what I'm saying about that? You're putting yourself in a box. Our affirmations today said, I'm out of the box. I'm free of the walls. Have you ever stood in front of a magnificent art piece? Open Studios is going on right now. I encourage all of us to participate in here in Santa Cruz. Participate and support our local artists. Because you're going to walk in and you're going to see something that this artist poured their soul into, and you're going to stand there and go, wow. Or maybe it's a performance. Maybe it's a piece of music. Maybe it's a story. Rev D a few weeks ago stood up here and said, by the way, Linda, my now partner, I knew I was gay because of her when I was 13 years old. We were out of touch for 38 years. We met up last year. Now we're together. Okay. How does that stuff happen? My sister was about to buy her dream house. She's picking out carpets and cabinets 7 years ago. Things fall apart financially. She never thought she'd get her house again. Just last week, the people who own a similar house in the same neighborhood said, we'll move early for you to sell you the house now. Because you want it and it's your house. It should be your house. We weren't going to move till May, but we'll move now for you. When I left the house after the separation, I didn't have a place to live for 9 months. When I finally got the courage to start looking for a place, I found a place. It was a little 2-bedroom cottage at the end of a cul-de-sac with a yard that looks like a park. It was an Airbnb, so it was furnished. And I walked up and I said to the renters, I'd put a smiley face on my application because I wanted them to remember me. Never done that before. Try it. I walked up and put it right in their face and said, this is mine. And by the way, I'm in the beginning stages of a divorce and I will have nothing but my clothes. I will have nothing but my clothes. Gonna do anything with that furniture? Is there anything? And I have no money to buy your furniture, so. And they said, hey, we don't have to move it. If you need to use it, it's all yours. What are the chances of me finding in Santa Cruz a place that's furnished but not charging me for furnished right when I need it? I really encourage you to look for these moments. And you know what? You can allow them, because possibility happens through us. All of this is based on possibility. We have to, Rev D talked about last week, we need to have an upstairs consciousness. What can you see in the basement? Nothing. Dark, damp. I'm sure there's ghosts. And spiders. It's Halloween. But what happens when you get up on the rooftop? Have you stood on a mountaintop before? Do you know what that looks like? Shh, possibility. You don't know. I don't know how much I can be. I don't know how much I can see, but I have to believe and have trust in the possibility. But I have to participate and put myself on the rooftop and get myself out of the frickin' basement and have that upstairs consciousness so I can allow my perspective to expand, so I can allow my experiences to expand. It takes possibility. So I'm in this job search. You guys know that. Most of you know that I'm in this job search. I have been interviewed by Adobe. Apple, Salesforce, ServiceNow, a startup who's doing really cool things, Google, and a few others that I won't mention. And for one reason or another, they have not worked out. So while I've given you examples of expansion where things have come to fruition, I can look back and say, wow, that was amazing, that's amazing. My sister, Greta Thunberg. Have you seen her "How dare you" speech? Have you seen it? It's only a few minutes and it will rock your world. Please look it up and watch it. Share it. This girl is amazing. When I've gone through these interviews, I hadn't realized until recently that I was actually trying to control more of the outcome, because it's what I know. These jobs are what I know. I can do it in my sleep. And so I challenged myself in this last week to expand my perspective of what divine right employment looks like. And I wrote my own job description. What would be the ideal job description for me right now? What would I love to do that would never feel like work? That's what I wrote down. And then I looked at it and I went, that doesn't exist. Yet. But see, possibility happens through those who allow it. So my work right now, even though I've told you like lots of little examples of things that have come full circle, my work right now is, what are the spiritual qualities that I feel separate from, that has been in cross purposes, where I've put my foot on the gas and the brake around my job search to find out where should I be right now? What should I be doing? If I keep going back to the same well and it's not working out, what's that about? I guess I need to get a little higher on the rooftop, get a little bit more possibility, a little bit more, expansive my perspective. That's my work right now. So this isn't real time, y'all. I have to figure out what those spiritual qualities are and commune with those qualities. Raise their volume in my life. Get closer to them. Allow them. And then we'll see what happens. I'm talking next month, so I'll let you know if anything happens. But, otherwise, just catch me. I'm here most Sundays. I know I'm worthy. I know that. Remember my talk about being a badass? I've taken that seriously. I want to give you one more example about how each of us has to take this responsibility of being a place of possibility. Because although a lot of our prayers and our affirmations can talk about, I am open to possibilities, if we don't visualize what those are and we don't recognize that we are actually playing a role in somebody else's possibility, it doesn't happen. The owners of my cute little cottage, they were a place and space of possibility for me. They had no idea that somebody like them was going to come into their life and basically say, you are an answer to my prayer. They didn't know. They were just like, I'm so done with Airbnb. I'm just going to put this up for rent. Right? That's all maybe they were in pain pushing, but I was in vision pulling. Like, I'm going to have a place that's safe for my kids. We're going to have an awesome place to live. And we do. And I had a bed to sleep on and a chair to sit on without doing anything but ask. So I allowed the possibility of that happening. I didn't box myself out and say, I'm not going to ask. How embarrassing is that? That's so embarrassing. Like, I'm a professional woman. I should be able to buy my own couch. Nah. Allow the possibilities in whatever form they need to come in. Here's another example. So Christy is my girlfriend. She is the executive director of a new nonprofit that helps people with special needs, like my son, ride horses. This is where I really want you to clap. She has nonprofit status. You know how hard that is to get? Can we give her a round of applause for that? She has a lease ready with land. She has horses. She has students. She has gear. She has volunteers. She already has students. And she's got me, so. I'm on the board. That's what I was saying. That's what I was talking about. But here's the thing. She's in this place of startup fundraising. She needs the funds. So I've been telling her for I don't know how long, months, you need to open a bank account. You need to open a bank account. Why am I telling her that she needs to open a bank account? So the money has a place to go. So it has a home. So it doesn't go, you know. It knows it's welcome. And so this Tuesday, she opened her bank account. She got the little bag with the zipper on it and everything. Right? 2 days later, somebody I know is watching on live stream right now, made a huge donation to her on a crowdfunding website she thought she took down months ago. She asked me if I set up a new site. I'm like, no. And she goes, I thought I took this down. Where did this money come from? I'm like, it doesn't matter. And then we found out it's a very good friend of ours who really believes in her vision, and she did whatever search she did to find it. She didn't even ask her. She just found it on her own, and she donated. So 2 days later, after opening the bank account, it has a place to go. She receives a large donation. It's holding that place of possibility. My point here is she created the possibility of the money to come, and our friend that's live streaming right now allowed the possibility of giving through her. It takes all of us, just like diversity and inclusion in the workplace. It takes all of us. It is not just a particular segment of people that it's up to fix diversity, inclusion, and belonging in the workplace. We live it every single Sunday here in this church. We are holding that high watch of possibility because we have an expanded view of what this world can be like, a just world that works for all. So do me a favor. Be that place of possibility for your own life and for the lives around you. You have no idea who you're touching. You have no idea who you're touching. Pam was at an India Ari concert a couple of weeks ago and is just melting into the music. And a slide comes up behind India Ari at Mountain Winery, and it said, "Feel, Deal, Heal." Reverend Deborah L. Johnson. I've seen the photo. It's real. First of all, I'm really glad she attributed it to Rev D because that's accurate. Rev gets this picture and stares at it like, oh, what? And then she sends it to me and she goes, who would have thought? You don't know who you're influencing. Rev D is influenced India Ari and put her freaking quote on tour. And her words in tour. Possibility. Expand your perspective. Be a place of possibility. You have no idea who you're going to touch. And it just might be you. Are you in? Yes. Can we do this? Yes. Do me a favor and do something to blow your own minds. All right? 5 years ago, I had an assignment from Rev D to do a vision about my dream career. So I draw like a 3-year-old. My daughter, who's 8 years old, can draw way better than I can, so I have stick figures. And I just found this like a week ago. The vision that I said of like, it was supposed to be now and then fully manifested. And what I wrote in 2014, I don't expect you to see this, but it is me sitting in a chair watching somebody else speak from the stage, and it says, today's speaker, someone who doesn't like speaking. At the time, I was attending a lot of different workshops and conferences and guest speakers coming into companies, and they sucked. They sucked. And I was angry about it. I'm like, I should be up there. I should be up there. I should be up there. I can do way better than them. They're way into technique. I got all judgy, But it was a lesson. It was a lesson to me, right? And it also provides some contrast. So my fully manifested is more stick figures of I'm holding hands with a girl and the globe, around the globe, and then it's saying now playing, and then I guess that's me in purple saying this is what I know for sure, ... And then I'm singing and dancing apparently. Catch me at the holiday party if we're having one. My point is that isn't that fun to look at something like 5 years ago? And for me to be in this place around my putting trust in my divine right employment, that I've never had a hard time finding a job. And for 6 months, just some of the biggest companies in the entire world, why isn't this working out for one reason or another? Some of them I'm declining, some of them they're declining me. I was like, I don't know what that is, but it's given me this chance to expand my perspective and expand what the possibilities look like. And when I saw this and I went, oh wait, what I'm doing right now, where I have a freedom in my schedule, I get to speak at Inner Light, I have 0 commute, I get to be with my kids when they're with me. I get to be with my girlfriend. I get to help her launch her nonprofit. I have the time to do this. I'm interviewed in podcasts. I am writing articles. There's still 3 more articles that I've written that are yet to be published. All through October, between October and November, I'm running 7 different workshops in 4 different states. Guys, I'm living my dream. And even though the possibility was right here and I'm already doing it, I had this but I need the full-time job. But what does the full-time job really represent? Financial stability. I was limiting myself and arguing for my own limitations to say this is the only way. It's not. And like I said, I'm working through what are the spiritual qualities that I feel separate from, that I need to embody to heal that sense of separation so I can actually step into full possibility and say, all right, so what does it look like? What are the different options of what financial stability looks like, God? Because you've always had my back before, and I know you're not going to leave me now. So I'll keep you updated, because this is, like I said, we're in real time. I don't know. And that is a lot of strength and a lot of courage to say, you know what? I don't know. This is an adventure. I want my mind blown. I want to be able to come up here and say, all right, y'all, you ready for this? I can't make this stuff up. I want to live this way. I want to live this way of adventure and possibility and curiosity. It doesn't have to be the way that it has been in order to be what it needs to be next. The past isn't necessarily a great judgment for the future. Any other witnesses? Yeah. So embody possibility. Allow yourself to expand what possibility could possibly be. Will you take a breath with me? 5 years ago when I did this cartoon stick figure vision, Rev wrote affirmations for me. And I'm going to share them with you because they're for all of us. And that's going to be our closing prayer. All right? So every word I say, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to visualize, and I want you to feel. We're going to take Pam's advice and listen with our eyes and visualizing what these words mean to you. We're going to listen with our ears, and we're going to listen with our heart. Say your name to yourself right now. I am a powerful spiritual being. My life is filled with meaning and purpose. I surrender to my highest calling. Which is forever unfolding before me. Right here where I am, I have everything that I need. Right where I am, I am perfect, whole, and complete. The universe is rushing its resources to me. Divine right opportunities are flooding through my life. Opportunities are flooding through my life. My discerning eye always knows what to do. And when to do it. I am in the right place at the right time. Doing the right thing with the right people. Use all of me to thy highest glory. I am ready, God. What are we doing today? I do it in your glory and your honor. All right. Go out, blow your own minds. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.